everyone. I hope you got your refreshments and all ready to listen to us. Thank you. It is truly a privilege for me to be here and talk about sustainable finance, the balancing profitability with purpose. I believe that is the talk of the town, and we've been doing multiple roundtables, and everywhere this is a topic which is of a lot of interest. I represent an organization which is Association of Chartered Certified Accountant, and we truly believe that professional accountants and finance professionals have a very, very important role in developing as well as driving sustainability within the organization. It also brings in, and with confidence I can say that it surely going to, for any organization, it is going to bring in a long-term, stakeholder management, customer service, innovation, and of course a long-term profitability. But it is easier said than done. I'm sure it comes with its own challenge. Embedding sustainable initiatives and balancing it, especially with environmental and social responsibilities, is going to be a challenge. So let's probably dive in a lot into this. All of us might have some questions, and we have a wonderful line of leaders here who walk the talk on that. So let's probably hear from them. ACCA also do a lot of research, and we emphasize the importance of integrating sustainability into business operation. But we also seen in our research that only half of the organizations are able to clearly, talk about how sustainability has overall impacted their organizational goal, as well as how it has, contributed towards it. So, Komal, my first question is to you, that in your role within your organization, how do you define sustainable finance in plain basic English, probably, and what initiatives have you taken to enhance its importance within your organization?
Sure. So sustainable finance, I think, is about not just focusing on making money, but making world a better place while making the money. So making money remains important. Finance and the profit remains very, very important, especially for the, finance people here. It's as important as oxygen for us. Yeah. But then sustainable is equally important word, and giving back to the community that you are serving, giving back to the environment that you are operating in is equally important. That is the only way to really become successful. So at Windlas, what we believe in is we want to focus on the areas where we really think that we can make an impact, and the areas that are really important to us as an organization. So 3 areas we have focused on. First, no points to guess that being a pharmaceutical company, healthcare is, stays at the core of where we want to make an impact, and we can make an impact. The second is education. So, we genuinely believe in Padhega India, tabhi, Badhega India. And the third one, of course, is environment. So, about education, we have taken initiatives like funding the school fees and, hostel fees for underprivileged children. We have also implemented the value education in several schools around our facility. About healthcare, we keep distributing to general public the sanitizers, which is easier for us in comparison to other organizations. We have built a facility or constructed a facility which should help the patients for 430 beds. AIMS patients in Rishikesh, patients and attendants, it should help. So there are several initiatives that we are taking for environment. We do not really consider ourselves as an expert. So there we have collaborated with other organizations who can make an impact. NGOs and some global organizations as well is whom we have collaborated with. So several factors, we believe that, we just want to talk about the philosophy of ESG. We want to really translate that philosophy into our actions and re-emphasize, keep reporting to our stakeholders is how we handle it. Thank you.
That's in fact it's great, the kind of initiatives that you are taking up, and it is walking the talk. It is not just about writing that, we are embedding ESG in your website. So there is a lot of work that you are already doing. It also means there is a lot of investment that is required in it. It is not a small task to probably have so many initiatives and in various level that you're doing. So, Vishal, my question is to you. When you're looking at sustainable initiatives, it comes with a cost. How do you balance that also with, profitability goals?
Okay. So, very simple examples I will take because I think the best thing to do is to demonstrate how you've implemented a decision which has short-term or long-term benefits for the organization. So the company that I work for manufactures hardware which is used by industries in communication, in aerospace, defense. So we have, our box size could be as small as the size of this table to, half the size of this stage. And obviously with that kind of packaging, you need cardboards, wood, thermocol, all of that stuff. Now, one of the things that we tried to do was we evaluated our supply chain and we said our raw material comes in boxes, our finished goods goes out in boxes. How close is the size of the box of our incoming raw material and outgoing finished goods? And can we fabricate that box and send it to our vendor, have it delivered directly to our vendor, who can package the raw material, send it to us. We remove the raw material, we put finished goods and send it forward. So what it does is, it saves you the headache of discarding the incoming cardboard, right? Because in India, you can sell it to a kabadi wala, but in US or in some of the other developed economies, you have actually to trash it with a cost. And then there's more careful handling of the incoming box because our logistics team has to receive it, not destroy it, and move it to the outbound logistics area safely so that it can go out. Another thing that you do when you talk about cost is looking at very small things, but when you kind of multiply the volume you handle, you can see the impact. So thermocol, by definition, is more voluminous but light in weight. But if you replace thermocol and some of the substances with foam, it's equally light in weight or maybe a little heavier, but it is less voluminous. So when you package it and send it to the freight forwarder, the cubic meter or cubic square foot area that you're using is very different from the earlier packaging model. So again, two very simple examples in packaging. Another thing that we've realized, and this is very, very small, and some of the people might laugh in the room, but replacing paper cups with ceramic cups and employing one person per floor of the building. Okay. Now, a lot of people, when we were thinking about this idea, I was actually very excited because it wasn't my idea. Because I felt if I have to every time go to take a cup of coffee and request somebody, it discourages me from going, A. B, I can only place 25 cups because I have 125 people on the floor, so we are only doing about 20% of the head count. So if there are no cups, again, I go back empty-handed. If I'm found waiting on the coffee machine, somebody will look at me and say, this guy doesn't have work. So, a lot of these intangible factors, when you put it in, there's a lot of, cash benefit that you can get. But we've implemented small initiatives like this across the organization.
I'm curious, on a lighter note, have you evaluated how much benefit you got about reducing the cups as well as on the ceramic mugs?
So it's neutral, to be honest, because we have to pay for a person being there. But we are doing a lot of kind of recycling. So we use the RO discharge water to wash the cups and things like that. So just trying to be more eco-friendly in some ways.
That's some brilliant live examples that you gave, which can be like an easy tip for focusing on this. Now, my next question is to you, Shallu, that many organizations now are struggling with the tangible impact that it comes. Now, we did hear about the intangible impacts, and it obviously brings into the tangibility. But still there is a lot of organizations who are struggling on the tangible impact from any sustainable initiatives that, you do. So what key metrics or any framework can you recommend that, you guys have already utilized, and any advice to the public?
Okay, so measuring the financial profitability is actually a challenging thing because you have to be inclined towards it properly, and you need structural analysis, strategical analysis, and the combination of qualitative and quantitative metrics, I believe. So as far as one of the key metrics is cost reduction through resource efficiency. It means reducing waste products and adapting of eco-friendly products, right? And minimization of energy consumption thing, and et cetera, so far. So it basically, we have not even reduced only environmental footprints, but also we have strategically reduced our cost in this. So one of the other key metrics is brand value and customer loyalty. Because nowadays, most of the investors and the customers are inclined towards the companies which are actually working on sustainability. So as per my best knowledge, per my best opinion, ESG is not about short-term growth or short-term profitability. It's all about creating long-term impact.
Thank you. So you did mention about, what kind of frameworks are you using, but it's easier said and done, and I'm sure, there are a lot of obstacles to, while you're going through the journey. Komal, would you want to probably touch upon some of the obstacles that you have faced or you have heard from on ESG implementation?
Sure, Naina. So I completely agree that it's not a smooth ride, it's a bumpy ride, and you have to be ready for it. So several obstacles that I can mention, especially maybe for an organization in the beginning, which is focused on short-term profitability. It looks in the beginning that there is a conflict between the short-term profitability and the basic nature of ESG initiatives and impact being a long-term thing. So immediately you won't, you might not see the benefits, or you might not be able to measure those benefits. So that's one main obstacle that, you might see. But I should also say that each obstacle presents itself with an opportunity for a sustainable future. Another obstacle that I have seen is lack of clarity as of now, because it is still, I would say, a beginning phase for many organizations. So there's no clarity in terms of how do you really measure the impact, the spends, when, what, why. There's not really clarity even in the leadership team. One level down in the hierarchy is the next step, but even in leadership team, it's for a few, is just a thing that is being told to do instead of understanding the overall impact. So that is the second obstacle. And third is a stakeholder management. And so making that impact known to all the stakeholders like investors, shareholders, and outside world. This is a third obstacle. In Windlas, we have started with making ESG goals as a core strategy. We have embedded them in the core strategy for the organization. So that is the starting point. And I would suggest maybe for all the CXOs to use an interesting term. In Japanese, they say nemawashi. So it's an art of aligning before really something is made out in open, something is declared. So you align with all the stakeholders beforehand. You make them understand informally what you are going to do, how you are going to do, and why are you doing it. That should be adopted not only for this, but any kind of change management that you are trying to bring in. So that is how, at least, we handled it, and we have seen it becoming extremely successful. Third, very important thing that you should do is reporting. So all the successes, even the failures, the amounts that you have spent, the impact that you are intending, and the impact that you are seeing, it's very important to report that. So that's how you can handle
Thank you
it.
so much, Komal. In fact, we do a lot of research, and one of the research that we have done was on climate finance. Climate finance is also another thing which has been tremendously growing. And in fact, it has reached almost to an annual flow of almost 1.3 trillion. That clearly indicates that sustainability is here to stay. And a lot of demand on sustainable finance has been seen not just in India, but globally as well. But there are challenges, especially from an investor's point of view, investor's buying point of view. So, Vishal, the question is to you that, from an investor's perspective, how has the rise of sustainable finance influenced the type of companies that, who's seeking capital?
So I think it's obviously changed because if you look at 1990s market cap of the top 10 companies in India, you had oil and gas, power, construction kind of there, and FMCG. Those were the sectors. If you come to about 2000 with the dot-com internet boom, you had technology companies coming in, a little bit of finance started coming in, but still construction, oil, they stayed. If you look at 2024, if I am not wrong, you don't have ONGC and Indian Oil in the top 10 by market cap. You have probably two FMCGs, Unilever and ITC, I think. But it's dominated predominantly by technology companies and by banks, right? And the best example is about 10 years ago, Tata Motors was out of the top 10. It's creeped back, or it's about in the top 20 now because they've gone into EV and stuff like that. So clearly, there is benefit in moving to cleaner companies. Now, I don't say all technology and all FMCGs are cleaner companies, but genuinely, you can see the shift that oil and gas probably has a standard PE. I mean, Zomato's, I think, 100 PE today. It's about $20 billion in market cap, and ONGC and oil are close to it or probably a little higher. So there's clearly a shift. The one point that I think I want to make is sustainability is not something new. Unfortunately, it's being remarketed as something that's going to revolutionize the world. If you go back 100 years, the San Francisco Bridge was made in 1930s. Howrah was made in 1940s. It's still there. That is sustainability, that you do something today that is going to stay there for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Again, I kind of echo with what Komal said about the Japanese philosophy, right? With bare minimum maintenance. So you might want to do CapEx today, but you might want to factor in how much of repeated OpEx you'll be doing on your investments. And if you're able to forecast that my repeated OpEx will be bare minimum, that is a sustainable investment, right? Not the roads of Delhi. So that's a classic example of non-sustainable, poor investment. And obviously, it has reasons. So when we take decisions in any corporate or even investment decisions, I think what we're looking for is, will I see this company in the top 10 market cap next 5 years? And if yes, hopefully the PE will come down, the profits will start going up, and it will start commanding more value on the stock exchanges, and therefore I will stay invested in it. But if I don't see companies having sustainable practices, not disclosing their initiatives around environment, E, S, and G, and clearly G is also a very big focus. If governance is weak, then nobody wants to invest in it. So I think, to my mind, we should not get fascinated that sustainability is something new. It's not. In fact, our culture in India, like a lot of Asian communities, is based on sustainability, is based on long-term development of the ecosystem. And if we do that in our companies, I think we'll be profitable. Forget needing, and make long-term investments. Use depreciation as a non-cash expense, borrow a little money, but invest for the long term.
Such a brilliant answer, Vishal. I must say that, your correlation to the examples were really, really good. In fact, the takeaway for me is also that, it's, of course, right now it's like a trend. Everybody wants to get into the pool and understand that, okay, we are a sustainable organization. But the idea is, how long-term are you looking at with minimum maintenance? And there is a lot in terms of the role of an organization, a lot in terms of the leaders within the organization, to probably talk about the vision of how the organization should look forward in the next 10 years or 20 years and thereafter. And that is where my question to you, Shallu, that, from a CFO or a finance leader's point of view, if you can give examples on how a leader's influence is there towards the overall sustainability agenda and also linking it to the business performance.
Okay. So I totally agree with Komal when she said that there are so many obstacles. People feel that ESG is just a burden. It's a corporate responsibility. It's not a difficult to convince your team members, but I believe it's more difficult to convince the management that it is very important nowadays. Yeah, because they are totally into short-term profits. They think that it's just a waste of time and it's a totally a responsibility towards the company. So I believe it's not a responsibility, it's a necessity nowadays, because most of the people see organization, performance, profitability and long-term value on the basis of ESG only. So to align the sustainability with the business goals, I believe you have to keep sustainability in mind while taking day-to-day financial decisions in your organization. And yes, you have to ask your team members that you have to be active participant in whatever we are doing for the company, for the environment, and the outcome should be measurable. So if the outcome is not measurable, then I believe there is no such thing to do ESG.
Thank you so much. And I have one last question to all of you. A lot of you are rather, in fact, when we also have done multiple roundtables, a lot of organizations are just starting the journey towards to become a sustainable organization, or they're taking initiatives now. And it is going to be daunting because there is enough and more information in the world, but where to start? So that's where, the major hiccups comes in. So if each of you could just probably give top 3 tips and tricks for any organization who is starting their journey towards sustainability, that'll be a great, thing. Komal, now that you have the mic, you should start.
So, sustainability is surely a journey. It's not a one-time effort. And that's why those who are just maybe starting this journey, it's important to first see where do you stand. Kitne pani mein hai, pehle dekh lo, right? So, once you see that, then you decide where do you want to reach, what are your long-term goals. And then you find out how to, reach that distance, how do you catch up in terms of meeting that distance. You break down into what do you want to achieve, by when, and how you are going to achieve it. The second thing is very, you decide on the metrics, very clear, to build on your point. You need to have clear metrics, be very transparent about it. Those should be time-bound and, very easily measurable. So that is very important. If you are able to do that, half the, pressure is off. Then you just have to ensure that you keep tracking against those metrics. You keep talking about it. You keep seeing where you are doing okay, good, and where you are lacking. And then you keep catching up, keep reporting, keep your stakeholders informed, earn that trust from all the stakeholders, from top to bottom to all the departments. Throughout the organization, bring as much visibility as possible. And to make it even more successful, recognition, appreciation is, one kick that you can use as a hack. So that's from me.
Thank you.
So I believe that you have to influence your team, and you can easily do so if you align your goals with the incentive. Yeah. So if you will ask your team to do something better for the environment, and I'll pay you something extra, I believe they will be more happy to do it.
Thank you. Vishal?
Yeah, so I'm going to bore you with a long answer. Firstly, sustainability, I think, is a mindset issue. So I, as an individual, or when I'm managing people, whoever looks up to me as a leader, am I repeatedly showing it in my behavior is very, very important. And that comes from the decisions you take. So if we are having a small discussion about even, a small problem of a repeated tax error, how am I solving it? Am I solving it just for today, just so that this return gets sorted, or am I solving it for the long term? If I repeatedly show that I'm ready to only talk when I'm solving it for the long term, it changes the behavior, right? And you eliminate a lot of wasteful discussions. So that's elimination of waste. And the other thing that I try to do is I look at the worst area of the organization. So where am I creating the maximum waste, junk, or whatever you want to call it? And even if I fix 50% of that, it's going to show a significant win. It may not show significant dollar benefits, but it'll show, oh my God, this little change brought about, a significant reduction in waste. And the second thing is, so one is mindset, two is practice. So whenever somebody comes to me for a discussion, I like to talk about it. What's the root cause of the problem? And if I fix it, will it solve it forever? Or will I have repeat instances of that? And that happens for every decision, whether even this cup decision that I gave an example to you. We debated about employee reactions. We debated about how will people come back. Their first reaction will be, oh, they're just trying to cut cost. And then you show that it's actually not going to save me money. It's just going to be a more sustainable practice, more environmental friendly practice, and all of us are going to be stakeholders in that. We're all going to be contributing. So like, Komal and Shallu said, incentivize, very, very important. Recognize, very, very important. But every decision that you take, deliberate the decision maybe a little longer, waste a little bit more time, but then show it that it's a decision that will not change for the next 2 years. And that's what I think is a sustainable behavior. If you do that, you will do it in everything. So you'll fix a lot of things.
In fact, when we have done a lot of, research and sustainability, and one of the things that we have seen in order to introduce sustainability in any of the organization, the first step is, of course, how you guys said, identifying the gap first. Once you identify the gap, it is also that you won't be able to correct it in just one night, right? You also need to then define the timeline by which you want to reach to that end result. May it be a measurable, sustainable finance plus profitability on a larger long-term profitability, as well as not compromising on your short-term profitability. But also another thing is it is a top-to-bottom approach. The culture has to be built in, and there is an immense role of leaders to ensure that this is starting right from the top, doing the walk the talk, and then expecting each of the employees to then follow what it is. But it's also important that at every level, the transparency is also very, very important. Now, as an operation manager, maybe I wouldn't know what my work will bring into the overall sustainability of the organization. So what's in it for me, what my role can contribute towards sustainability is something at every level the employees request for, and I think a lot of organizations should do that. Then last but for sure not the least is, how is it that you can quantify it? The tangibility is very, very crucial. Otherwise, you might do a lot of work, but at the end of it, if it is not bringing in terms of the numbers, then what's the role going to be, right? So today, just to let you know that that is where the gap also we have identified. There are brilliant finance tools, especially for sustainability, that is available in the world right now. When we looked at globally, 40% of the organizations are only using that, which means there is a huge gap in, measuring the initiatives to the result. So that's one more factor which, I just wanted to add on to what you guys said. I am happy to take some questions from the crowd as well if you have any questions. Anyone has anything to ask? Yes. Do you have a mic there? Can someone give a mic to him? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gaurav. Just an academic question. Not sure how you will take it, but the entire ESG thing got motion because of United Nations and the carbon footprint declarations, and India agreeing to those, cutting down of the emissions and everything. And with Trump coming back to power, he's reversing everything we know, right? He says, it's all crap, right? Why are we even burning our money on that? So do you think there's going to be a likely slowdown in the efforts globally, or you think that the government of India, like, they have the accounting norms now coming out for ESG reporting. Do you feel that that's going to slow down, or the investment should keep on continuing in that front?
Thank you for your question, Vishal. Komal, you want to answer?
I can take a shot at it. So I don't think, so that is exactly the core of sustainability, right? It's not going to go away. It's not going anywhere. ESG is there to say. It might be called something else. You never know. With Trump giving a fashionable term to it, that can happen. But it won't go away. It is going to stay important. See, for any organization to make an impact is any which way a necessity, right? And in the long term, any organization can sustain only if they are giving back to the community, they are giving back to the environment. So Trump, Elon Musk, nobody can do anything to it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'll just say one more thing. Before ESG became a buzzword, in India at least, the 2013 Companies Act introduced CSR, mandatory 2% spend. That's not going away, right? That is one thing. The second thing is it depends. You want to breathe fresh air, you have to make changes. If you don't want to breathe fresh air, you can follow Trump. That's your call. So I think all of us realize the problem that has been created by our generation or maybe a couple of generations before us with the whole industrialization, the pollutants, hydrocarbons, whatever have you. And today, all of us are looking to make a difference in our own lives as well as trying to do something better for the environment. That's why EVs are booming, hybrids are booming, and the ICE engines will probably go away in the near future. And also other initiatives which are going to be green initiatives are going to be there. You're going to be investing in green stocks, I'm pretty sure about it. So if those industries are going to get money, capital from you guys, they will grow and the other ones will kind of wither away.
In fact, the green bonds and sustainable debt securities are doubling in the last 3 years. It clearly shows the investors are really, really looking forward for that. In the future is also, future is bright on that matter. Anybody else has any other question? No? Then I'm happy to conclude and give away some time, but thank you so much for all your insights. It has been a brilliant examples from each of your organizations and a great example as well. It is for sure that sustainable finance is here to stay. It is not just a responsibility anymore, it is more of a strategic advantage. And I think by us following that, we are building a more resilient future, both for business as well as for society. So with that, I conclude. Thank you so much for all your time, and thank you so much.